Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners work session for this Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. It's 1:32 p.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. To my right is Commissioner Carolina Mejia. Vice Chair Commissioner Gary Edwards is on our Zoom. Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell is with us here in the boardroom, and we have Director of Public Works Jennifer Walker, Tim Wilson, and I can't read the little letters of our bottom left.
Torin Valdez.
Torrance Valdez?
Can you hear me? Torin Valdez?
Torin Valdez, thank you. The letters are too small. Welcome, Torin. Okay, the public may follow along on the county YouTube channel, and we've got half an hour for this topic. Does this go straight to you, Jennifer?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to kick it over to Tim, but just the reminder that we're coming back to the board having done public outreach. And so Tim is going to kind of give the background, and then Torin will go through and provide an update of that feedback.
All right, Tim, take it away.
Hey, good afternoon, Commissioners. Tim Wilson, Water Resources Manager. As noted, we also have Torin Valdez, Utility Planner with Public Works with us today. Today, Public Works staff will be providing a check-in on the public outreach process undertaken to date, as well as outline the next steps necessary to update Thurston County's water and sewer construction and materials standards, which are significantly out of date and have not been updated since 2007. These development standard updates are one of 4 different planning level updates currently in process. All of the updates are intended to set the water and sewer utilities up for long-term success so that we can continue to provide safe and reliable potable water and sewer service to support public health, the health of our environment, and to facilitate economic growth. This update was first introduced to the board at a State of the Utilities briefing earlier this year, and a specific briefing on the development standards update was provided in April. Torin Valdez, one of our utility planners with Public Works, has taken over as lead for this effort and will be presenting to the board this afternoon for the very first time. And with that, I'll hand it over to Torin.
Thanks, Tim. I'll share my screen. And are you able to see the presentation?
Yeah,
okay. Thank you. All right. So good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here to follow up with you on the proposed water and sewer construction and material standards updates. So let's get started. We are also requesting that the Board of County Commissioners give Public Works staff authorization to submit an AIS to set a public hearing date for the proposed updates to the Thurston County development standards. And on today's agenda, we will be going over some background about the development standards, as well as benefits of updating the development standards, and the goals of the updates, along with the process that we went through and some examples of proposed updates. We will also go over the public process undertaken and the feedback that we received as a part of the public process. And finally, we will conclude with next steps. And some of what you will hear today was presented to you during a briefing in May of this year. However, we thought it would be useful to quickly go over the development standards again as a refresher. So some quick background on the development standards. They lay out the development standards for the county's water and sewer systems only. So they only apply to the county's utilities, which are located in Boston Harbor, Grand Mound, Olympic View, and Tamishan. The development standards primarily apply to new development, a majority of which is focused in Grand Mound with respect to the county's utilities. And non-county utilities will not be using these standards. So Thurston Public Utility District and Lot, for example. And Thurston County's development standards were last updated in 2007, so quite some time ago now. And nearby jurisdictions update their standards much more frequently or have updated their standards more recently than Thurston County. So you can see City of Olympia conducts annual updates to their development standards. Pierce County does biannual updates, and City of Lacey last updated their standards in 2014, so significantly more recent than us. And some benefits of updating the development standards are that they improve clarity around development requirements. And updating these standards also means that our water systems will be approvable by the Department of Health, our water system plans, excuse me. And these plans address regulatory requirements for the county's water utilities, and the board will be receiving a briefing regarding these plans toward the end of this year. Approved water system plans bring us into compliance with regulatory requirements. They help to preserve our water rights by bringing the county into compliance with the municipal water law. They also make the county eligible for state revolving funds construction loans for water utility projects. And finally, updated development standards allow the county to get a water main extension project review exemption. And this exemption means that the water main extension projects only have to come to Thurston County for review rather than both the county and the Department of Health, which saves time, effort, and money for developers. And the goals of this project are to improve clarity surrounding developer requirements, to bring the development standards into alignment with regulatory requirements, to help the county gain access to low-cost construction loans for drinking water projects. And they would also update the standards to follow industry best practices and allow the county to incorporate updated air vac technology. And we are one of the few jurisdictions in the area that uses vacuum sewer, which is used in the Grand Mound sewer system. And because of this, we rely on air vac standards, so we must stay up to date on their newest standards as they are updated over time. As a part of the Development Standards Update Project, HDR, an engineering consulting firm, was brought on as water and sewer subject matter experts to help with these updates. We use the City of Olympia standards as a model to promote consistency between jurisdictions to make development easier. And this also allows us to leverage the City of Olympia's annual development standard updates to help the county consider which updates might be necessary. This helps us stay up to date with regulatory requirements and to meet industry best practices. That said, this does not necessarily mean that we make every single change the City of Olympia makes. So we just see what they've done and then decide if we want to incorporate that or not. And also, we incorporated feedback from the public work utility operators, the technical services group, the engineering group in the office of the county engineer, as well as the prosecuting attorney's office. So now we'll go over some examples for the high-level categories of changes that were mentioned previously. Some of these categories are clarity, regulatory changes, industry best practice, and proprietary technology. And to improve clarity, we are making the development standards a searchable PDF so that they are much easier to navigate. We're also adding more standard details so that developers can easily reference the county standards for specific components rather than having to go out and search for details that are acceptable to the county, which can be pretty time consuming. And to clarify, a detail is essentially a drawing that tells developers how to build something. And an example of addressing regulatory changes is the separation between potable and non-potable lines. This separation ensures that if something were to go wrong with a water main, for instance, that non-potable liquids are not entering into the water main, which would cause health and safety hazards. Currently, we only address sanitary sewer pipes in the development standards, so we're proposing to update their language to cover all non-potable lines, such as sewer, reclaimed water, gas lines, or anything that humans cannot safely drink, to ensure that water supplies are kept safe for our customers. And an example of industry best practice is saddle tapping. Currently, direct tapping is permissible in the county's development standards. There is a likelihood of a pipe cracking along the entire length when tapped, especially with direct tapping. So we're proposing to remove direct tapping from the standards in favor of only allowing saddle tapping for service connections. Saddle tapping is common, and our staff are very familiar with this type of tapping. And to be clear, if a developer damages a county pipe, they are responsible for repairing that pipe. However, this causes a disruption to service for our customers, so we would like to avoid these disruptions by decreasing the likelihood of pipe cracks by removing the direct tap option. And you can see an image of that in the slide. And next, we need to update our standards to reflect the current air-vac standards for vacuum sewer technology. The vacuum sewer buffer tanks pictured above are an example of this type of update. The county standards haven't been updated since 2007, so they do not capture the latest updates to air-vac's buffer tank standards. Currently, all the necessary components for vacuum sewer buffer tanks are housed in one tank rather than in two, as was the case in 2007. And consistency with air-vac standards helps to avoid any confusion and revisions for the developer as a result of the county's outdated development standards. Developers are required to submit their plans to air-vac for review and for acceptance in order for their plans to be approved by Thurston County. So to summarize, this process is the formalization of industry best practices, which currently we try to follow. And so now we'll go into the public process undertaken. The proposed development standards update went through a public process as was authorized by the board back in May. The public process included the creation of a web page on the Public Works website, which contained the draft development standards for review. An online comment submission form was available on this web page and was open to comment for 30 days from July 1st to July 30th of 2021. And flyers were also distributed to all Thurston County utility customers so that they were aware of the proposed updates and could comment if they so chose. And the Olympia master builders were also notified of the proposed updates so that they could review them and provide any feedback that they had. So as a part of that comment process, we received only internal comments regarding the proposed development standard updates. This feedback included requests to add one set of details that had been left out of the draft, along with clarifying notes on some details, correcting a few misspellings and mistakes, and correcting a few detail numbers to be consistent throughout the updates. And that was mostly references to other standards. And we are currently in the process of adding the requested details and information and correcting the small mistakes that were found, which should be completed within the next 2 weeks. So the proposed next steps are to set a public hearing and then to adopt the proposed utility development standards updates so that they will be effective as of January 1st. So you can see the check marks have shown us where the progress we've made, including today's briefing. So the next step is for Public Works staff to submit an AIS for requesting the board to set a public hearing date. And we are requesting your authorization to submit this AIS in order to set a public hearing in October or November of this year. And yeah, thank you for your time. Do you have any questions on the development standards or any of the next steps?
Commissioner Edwards? Start with
I really don't have any questions. I think it was a very good presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Excellent. Commissioner Mejia?
I do. So is this just an update in process? Is there an update in, is there a price tag attached to any of this?
No, not necessarily. Just the cost of staff time that went into updating the standards and providing those proposed updates, as well as the time or reimbursement of HDR's services as well. Otherwise, all of these are industry best practices, so they're already followed pretty much. At the time being, we just want to make our development standards match those practices as well, because it could create confusion if a developer doesn't speak with us before writing up some initial plans. And sometimes it's pretty quick to make those updates, but we would just like to make it as efficient as possible and not cause any problems for anyone investing time and effort into drawing up some plans.
Perfect, thank you.
Certainly.
Lauren, you can stop sharing your screen now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't really have anything. I think it was as clear as it's going to be to me. Clear as it could be in terms of, what we're trying to do. The technical details are obviously complex, but Jennifer, what do you need? 3 thumbs from us to go ahead and move forward with the AIS?
Please.
Here's 1, here's 2. Commissioner Edwards, thumb.
Yes, sir.
Thumb is
Yes,
up.
sir.
All right, 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. So that concludes this briefing, and we'll wait till 2 o'clock. Is that right? Are you guys back again, Jennifer?
We are, yes.
Okay, I think we have to wait till 2 o'clock because of public notice and whatnot, so we'll just see you in about 10 minutes.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
This work session is adjourned.